Welcome to the CV Confidence Coach podcast with your host Liz Maguire, where she helps you to learn the secret of an interview-winning CV. Liz shows you how to deliver a compelling CV which increases career confidence, optimizes your professional visibility, and opens interview doors. Tune in weekly as she shares proven and simple strategies to help you craft your interview-winning CV. Make sure you head over to www.giraffecvs.co.uk to subscribe for our free newsletter with more CV writing and career tips.
This week I'm going to talk about the importance of targeting your CV. I'll be explaining what I mean by targeting your CV, then covering why you should target your CV, when you should target your CV, and how you should target your CV. Let's get started. So what does targeting your CV really mean? Your CV is like a shop window mannequin. You need to dress it up to entice the shopper, or buyer, or recruiter in. Using a generic CV is like leaving the mannequin naked in the window. It has no real relevance to anybody passing by. Not people who are looking for a summer maxi dress, not for someone wanting a new cocktail dress for an awards dinner, not someone seeking a smart casual outfit for a first date. Targeting your CV means dressing it up and presenting it with your particular audience in mind. It means picking out the elements you know the recruiter will like and dressing them up to catch their attention. As an example, someone I know has just started a successful business. When she next updates her CV, she could present herself as a business founder, drawing out her expertise in strategic planning, team building, leadership, new product development, marketing, operations management and quality control. Or she could play the sales angle, leading on the fact that she has built her business from scratch to achieve a turnover of so many £1,000s within 6 months through sales to so many clients. On the other hand, she could choose to downplay her new business and focus on the achievements from her earlier career, placing her most relevant experience up front on page 1. It all depends on her target recruiter and what they will most want to see. Why should you target your CV? Your CV sets the tone for that first engagement with a new employer or client. More than just getting your foot in the interview room door, it starts forming a perception of you as an individual and as a potential asset in the reader's mind. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That's why, as an applicant, you need to make sure your target beholder or recruiter sees you in the best possible light for your desired job. Court your recruiter by tailoring your CV to meet their outlined requirements. By doing this, you can ensure they see a picture of you that resonates with them and ticks their boxes. Tick, tick, tick. Recruiters will be glad you made the effort to step up your game for them. It's like when you go to a wedding. If you have a look around the church, it's easy to spot the guests who have dressed in a way that celebrates the significance of this special occasion. It's equally obvious to spot those who haven't put in as much effort. Attire is essential for a positive first impression. In the same way that you would make an effort and dress appropriately for a special occasion, you need to dress your CV to match the employer's expectations. This will optimise your chances of success. Just as surely as you wouldn't wear a morning suit to a pool party, your CV shouldn't scream sales if your target role is in learning and development. Many people are guilty of using just one CV for all opportunities. This use of a one-size-fits-all generic CV can be likened to wearing your little black dress for every party. Although definitely classic, the LBD is not always enough to make you stand out. Using a targeted CV for every opportunity makes it easy for the reader to know what you are all about, in terms of the skills you offer and the level and range of experience you have as applicable to this job. Don't make the recruiter work to envisage how your skills and experience could be appropriate for the role. Show them a picture of someone who is ideal for the role, someone they must simply meet. It's your moment, so make sure your CV is dressed to impress. So when should you target your CV? Really, you should target your CV for each and every application, ensuring it represents you in the best possible light for the targeted role. Create a box-ticking CV that shows how you meet the outline requirements for the role. It will resonate with the recruiter's aspirations. Finally, let's talk about how you should target your CV. First of all, let's talk about the headline and profile. Using a headline at the top of your CV is a great tactic to say confidently who you are and to position yourself in the reader's mind. In case you're not familiar with the concept of a CV headline, I'll explain. The headline is becoming a more popular feature on CVs, both on and offline. LinkedIn, for example, asks its users to add a headline to their online profile. It gives examples such as experienced transportation executive, web designer and information architect, and visionary entrepreneur and investor. So how can you apply this concept to your CV? Before you head on into your CV profile, state clearly your professional moniker, an overarching description that confirms to the reader from the outset that you are who they need to be reading about and it's worth their while to continue reading your CV. If we think for a moment about sales communications, it's reported that only 8 out of every 10 people read the headline. Only 2 out of the 10 go on to read the rest of the story. This shows why getting your CV headline right is so important. When it comes to your CV, don't feel compelled to define yourself by your current job title, especially if it's too specific, simply bizarre, or maybe even unrecognisable to the recruiter, or if it's something you no longer want to do. Say your current role is sales manager for a pharmaceutical company. Your CV headline could say sales manager, pharmaceutical industry, but let's pretend you didn't want to do that anymore. You might want to consider how your experience could lend itself to a different angle. Perhaps you could draw out the client relationship aspect of your job and use this to shape your headline. One approach to writing a headline is to take an objective look at what you've achieved over your career to date and use this insight to define yourself. If you've worked in roles as a receptionist, office administrator and clerical officer, in the days when that was a popular job title, you could consider describing yourself as an office support professional, for example. Avoid tongue-in-cheek descriptions like technical evangelist or director of first impressions. The reader may not take them in the spirit intended. They might just think you've got an overinflated ego. One simple way to position yourself as a fit for the role is to describe yourself in the terms used by your target employer. If they are seeking a business development manager but your current role is actually head of new sales, I don't see it as a problem to describe your role using their language. You could reflect their terminology in your headline and profile and reference your actual job title in your experience section. Key skills. I recommend using a key skills section immediately after the profile, incorporating snappy 2 to 3 word bullets which describe the transferable business skills you can bring to a target employer. To give a couple of examples, these might be new business development, strategic planning, client account management, policy development, team leadership, training and coaching, recruitment and selection, health and safety management. The list goes on and on. Ideally, your key skills should reflect the skills outlined in your target job advert, description and person specification. The key skills section can be skim-read very easily. It's a godsend to the recruiter who needs to quickly locate the words that enable them to tick the boxes. Moving on to your experience and employment sections. Use these sections to highlight your relevant experience, the experience that best matches the requirements of the target job. You can even use a relevant experience section on page 1 of your CV, with an other experience section to follow on page 2. Use your relevant experience section to call out the experience that's most relevant to this particular application. It doesn't matter if it's not your most recent experience. That's the beauty of this relevant experience section. This tactic can make all the difference to whether your CV gets through the initial screening process. Page 1 is really where it's at. Another tip: if any of your job titles have been very specialised or specific to your organisation, consider using a more generic and recognisable job title in its place. Many recruiters are scanning CVs for particular keywords, either in person or using specialist software, so it's really important to reference those keywords. I hope that today's podcast has given you a real insight into what targeting your CV really means, why you should target your CV, when you should target your CV, and start to understand how you can target your CV for each and every application. If your CV could speak, it should be saying to the recruiter, yes, I am your perfect match. Pick me, pick me. If it isn't, it probably still needs a little bit of work. Thanks for listening.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the CV Confidence Coach podcast. If you did, please do leave a review and subscribe here in iTunes to make sure you don't miss the next show. Head on over to www.giraffecvs.co.uk to subscribe for our free newsletter for more CV writing and career